Guess, Brian, you can never have enough good defense?
Well, I think everyone knows my feeling on it is that winning championships begins and ends on the blue line. We had this player rated first overall. Wouldn't say that if it wasn't true, just to build up the pick. But this is the guy, had we had the first pick in the draft, we would have taken him. He's got a high hockey IQ, high compete level, smart decisions. The future's very bright for him. So we're excited. I mean, our scouts are ecstatic.
Do you think had he been healthy all year, other teams would have picked him higher?
Well, I think the injury set him back on some teams' list. I go back to Keith Tkachuk's year, his draft year, he broke his ankle, and Winnipeg were able to get him much later than they would have been otherwise. Right. So I think it probably set him back on some teams' lists. We've checked out the injury, and we're not concerned about it.
Did you explore the possibility of moving up at all to get him, or did you think he'd fall to where?
Well, we felt that he'd get to us, and there were other players that we liked if we weren't able to. I did look into moving up, but I didn't like the price. It was it would have cost us a fortune to move up. The couple of deals that we were offered did not make any sense. We wouldn't have been better as a result. We would have gotten the player we wanted, but we wouldn't have been better as an organization. So, no.
How far away is he, Brian?
It's going to be up to him. He's got a real... This is the guy that you don't have to tell where the weight room is. This is the guy you don't have to tell how to work hard. This is the guy that knows how to practice. So he's probably going to be, I'd say fast-tracked because of the way he comes, but we're certainly not expecting him to play this year.
Seems to be very good in his own zone, doesn't panic with the puck, and can jump into the rush quite easily.
Yeah, but judiciously, too. He's a good skater, so he can join the rush, but we feel he's not reckless. Mature in terms of his decision-making for a kid his age. He makes wise decisions. He's not an impetuous player.
Who brought him to your attention, Brian? How did he become on your radar?
He was a guy that last year we asked our scouting staff to identify, just looking ahead, who are guys that we should be keeping an eye on, even though they're not draft eligible, and he was one of them. So, way back.
Has that type of commodity become more valuable in recent years? That kind of defenseman, I guess?
Well, the way it kind of depends. I think the answer to that question, I'd say, is it depends on the refereeing standard for next year. There's certainly a sense on my part that officials are letting more go than they did, and certainly this is a guy we feel can get out of jams with the puck, and I think that's going to be an asset. If it's going back to big man's hockey, he's strong enough to play that way and quick and agile enough to get out of jams with the puck. So I think so. I think that highly skilled defensemen are hard to find. Everyone's looking for them.
Yeah, his position play up his position in your mind, or were you just going with the best available player either way?
Well, I think the positional play goes into our list. In other words, the hardest position to play on a hockey rink is the goaltender. And they're the hardest, elite guys, the hardest group to find are goaltenders. The next hardest group are defensemen. For every quality defenseman, there's 3 or 4 quality forwards. And so I think as we list these players, it tends to be defense heavy because of the respect for the position and the difficulty of the position.
Brian, did Ray Shero ever talk to you about the availability of Jordan Staal at all?
Yes.
Yeah? Was there any possibility of anything culminating with that?
No.
Was there any temptation, Brian, with the 6'3" center available? Were you even tempted, or had you just
No, we had this kid rated 1. I mean, once the Islanders announced their pick, there was no discussion at the table. There was no hesitation. It was punch that name in the computer as soon as they tell us.
Did you learn something about this kid, too, and the determination of coming back from the knee injury that you wouldn't have known otherwise?
Yeah, that's when we researched him, that's what kept coming up and coming up and coming up was this kid never viewed the injury as a setback. He viewed it as a challenge. And he met that challenge with, it's legendary, the workouts he did to rehab this. While he was hurt, he was meeting his team on the road when he couldn't play. I mean, just little things like that show character. This kid was brought up right. And the way he attacked his rehab and recovered from that injury is impressive.
Brian, there have been already a few trades today, Jordan Staal being fairly significant. Do you have anything on the front burner? Do you get the sense you could leave here with a trade?
If I had to answer that question right now, I'd say no. But I hate answering that question because that could change as soon as they get back to the table. So I am always reticent to answer that question and not qualify it. To me, that could change, like with one phone call. But right now, no, there's nothing imminent. And most of this was would you consider moving the pick? And I said, there's players we really like. It would cost a lot, and that kind of discouraged people. I don't have much luck the last couple of years at the draft, so making deals.
Brian, was there anything during the interview that caught your attention about Morgan?
Our guys felt eye contact, maturity, posture was confident. His psychological evaluation was fantastic. His physical was excellent. I don't know if you saw the stats. He was number 1 in grip strength with one arm, and he's in the top, in a lot of those testing categories. But what we liked was the psychological evaluation he did was really off the charts. Like, this is a guy that they said leadership skills, self-starter, doesn't require extensive coaching. If he's put in a situation where he's got to make decisions, he'll make the right ones. So lots of things contributed to that.
Can that sometimes steer you towards or maybe away
Yeah,
from prospect?
absolutely. The psychological evaluation is often as important as the physical one.
When did you know he was your guy?
We had our scouting meetings, I guess we ended up 3 weeks ago, and he was number 1. And that didn't change when we went through our final. If we got some more information on physical, the injury side of it, psychological evaluation, sometimes you change your list, but it didn't move him.
From here on out, is it organizational need or best player available?
No, it's best player available. I think the GM's job is to address the depth chart through trades. I think at the draft you take the best player you can get.
Brian, are you surprised at how many defensemen have gone so early in draft?
No.
You would be deep, but what is it about this group that it seems like they're talented throughout the board?
Well, I think it's a deep group. I think it's a good group, but I think it's also the difficulty of the position. I think the number of defensemen selected reflects the respect that GMs have for the position.
Comparable to 08.
Sorry?
Comparable to 08,
you guys remember that stuff better than I do. Yes, it was comparable to 08. Yeah.
The Irish heritage doesn't hurt either, I guess.
Yeah, except I don't know how they spelled his name this way. I gotta ask him about that.
He said it was a typo.
He said it was I before E except after C.
Yeah, well,
Customs did it years ago.
the county where my family came from, they spell it differently than that. But yeah, it didn't hurt. There you
Brian,
go.
some big names are mentioned, but so far nothing. Do you expect any of the bigger names out there to get moved?
I don't know. I mean, like I say right now, I would describe our situation as lots of possibilities in the hopper. We're talking to lots of teams about different things, but nothing imminent. So I wish I could give you a better answer.
I mean, it's just funny when all the smoke and the fire at this point.
Well, salary cap is part of that. It's hard to make deals now. The money has to line up, and that's really hampered the ability of GMs to make trades.
If you hang on to your pick tomorrow, are you confident you get a good guy as well at that position?
Yeah, I think at that point you're looking at a possible goaltender. I think you're looking at a possible power forward. But again, we're going to go off the list. We're not going to do a positional pick.
You hired Steve Stais, did I hear that?
We're in the process of hiring Steve Stais. Yeah, I think very highly of this young man. I'm very excited about him joining our staff.
To do what, right?
He's going to do first year. I don't usually hire players their first year out. I make them take a year off. But this kid's so impressive to me that we're going to put him to work 3/4 time. Make sure he gets some time with his family. I think players cheat their families and their careers out of a lot. Birthdays and birthday parties and sleepovers and things like that. And that first year, I want to make sure those players recapture some of that with their kids. But within that, he wants to take on a partial workload, so he would do some pro scouting, some amateur, go on the ice maybe with the Marlies. This is a guy I see could do a lot of jobs for a hockey team. He's very bright. He's a versatile player. He was a leader as a player, and I'm really excited about him. I think it's a guy that is a possible head coaching material for the Marlies down the road if we lose Dallas, that type of role.
16 years, 1,000 games he's been around.
Yeah, and he wasn't a great player. When you last that long, it's because GMs see things in you. You're either a great player or you're a useful player. Useful players tend to be the best coaches. They tend to be really good player development guys, so I think he could do a lot of things for us. I'm excited about that. We're excited about the pick today, but I'm excited about Stevie Stais too.